Hi everybody. I think I pinned a title here. It's Thursday. Okay, I think we're all good. Oh yeah, awesome. Okay, hi, happy Thursday. We're gonna be using a ball today. Yesterday's with no ball, so if you have a ball, grab onto your ball. If you don't, we're gonna do a firm pillow, we're gonna do a towel. We're gonna get all set up. Hope everybody is ready to move, ready to release, ready to feel, ready to breathe, all of the things together. I'm very ready. I also wanted to quickly talk to you about social media and all of the information out there. And one thing I want you to remind yourself is that we on social media have access to all of this information, and there's so much there. I want you to use it. I also would love you to share it with people that are not on social media. I know that my husband last night had a really great conversation with his parents about ways that they can help and ways that they can inform themselves and just, you know, care about Black Lives Matter. So make sure that you're sharing with people off social media. And let's get started. Is everybody feeling okay? Are we good? Can you hear me? Let me just make sure we're all good here. But yes. Okay. Awesome. 10:04. I'm late today. Okay, let's get started. This is going to be a 60-minute full body exercise, and we're going to start with the ball between your knees. So give the ball a little squeeze here. You're going to plant your feet directly underneath your hips, grounding your feet through here. Soften the knees very slightly. We're just going to start with a couple deep breaths, and you're going to take your fingertips on your ribs. So we're going to frame your ribs here. You're going to drop the shoulders. Take a few deep breaths. Take a deep inhale and exhale. Deep inhale. So we're expanding the ribs and exhale. Start to reach your hands forward in line with your shoulders, taking your arms backwards, opening up your chest. So we're going to start to warm up the body here. Open it up. So we're inhaling as you reach out, exhaling back. Keep building up some heat here, starting to feel very connected into your core, starting to lift up through the pelvic floor, really building up some nice heat. And back. And let's do a few more here. And one more. And then we're going to reach your hands out. Just start to take them out into a T and then stretch them forward. So we're opening it up. So we're keeping the abdominals in, keeping the shoulders dropped, trying to find a very nice wide wingspan. Open it up. Pull it back in. Let's do two more. And one more. And then taking your hands backwards, we're going to bend your knees, pulling your hips backwards as your fingers reach out, stretching your legs up tall. So we're bending it back, pressing it up through here. So we're going to intentionally move through space, pulling in the core, squeezing the ball, building up nice heat, stretching through the back of your neck. We're feeling the inner thighs, so we're always connected in those inner thighs, lifting up through the pelvic floor, and lift. And let's do three more, and two more. And then one more. Let's hold this position. I want you to keep those knees bent. We're just going to straighten the knees very slightly and bend the knees down. So it's very tiny pulse up. I want you to feel the core engaged here. You're putting weight into your heels. You're guiding yourself with your core. Your arms are stretching out in front of you. And let's do three more. Two more. And one more. And then take your arms out into the side. We're going to do the same thing. We're just pulsing up very slightly. So your knees are just straightening very slightly and bending. So they're never going all the way straight. It's just a tiny pulse, squeezing the ball. Keeping very engaged. I want you to try to get into your glutes as well. Let's do two more. One more. And then take your hands backwards. Your palms are facing down to the floor. Same type of thing. Keep your breathing going. Keep reaching your fingertips far away from your ears. You're trying to elongate out of your neck. Let's do a few more here. You can really feel kind of how your transverse and your obliques connect here too. Two more. And one more. And then reaching your hands forward. Let's stack your legs all the way up straight, opening up the chest. Bending down again through here. Taking your hands backwards, we're just going to start to pulse your arms up. So your palms are up towards the ceiling. Your inner thighs are connected. Your neck is long. Really continue to pulse here. So we're making yourself move intentionally in space. I know I keep reminding you of that, but I want you to try to think of the movement being a little bit deeper, a little bit more connected, a little bit more, adding a little bit more of your resistance in your own body. And then holding your arms up, start to bend the elbows and then press it back. Very tiny pulses. Bend and back. So still breathing here, still moving the arms, keeping the inner thighs engaged, shifting your weight backwards just a little bit more onto your heels so you can feel that really deep glute connection as well. Let's do one more. And then we're going to take your arms back through here. Just start to do very tiny circles. Your arms are going to come back behind your body. Your palms can still face up to the ceiling, so you're really focusing on opening up the chest. Try not to pop the ribs out. Tiny pulse, tiny circles. And let's do a few more here. And then reverse the circles. We're going to go in the opposite direction. You're going to really feel it in your arms too. If you can feel your triceps already warming up, that's good. Abdominals in. And let's do a few more here. Keeping your arms back, start to reach your hands forward. Let's lift yourself all the way up to standing, bending the knees back down. Let's do two more here. And then down. And one more. And down. We're going to hold this position. Just take your arms around. You're going to squeeze your pinkies towards your back and then reach the hands out. So we're circling here. So we're having a nice movement here. And let's do two more. And one more. And we're going to go into a circle. So you're going to squeeze your hands here, reaching them out in front of you. Open up. So we're circling them around. If you can notice that my body is staying in the exact same position, I'm trying to stabilize as much as I can as these arms do the circles. So everything is supporting the circle of the arm. One more. And then we're going to reverse. So let's take your hands back, circle them around here, and back. So all the way around. And let's do three more. It's a lot of arm work here. My arms are already burning. Two more. And one more. And let's lift all the way up. And we're going to grab onto the ball. Let's take yourself into a wide stance. I'm going to find my heels off of my mat, so it's a little bit wider here, keeping open up in the hips. Taking the ball slightly in front of my body and giving it a little squeeze and dropping the shoulders. We're going to bend the knees down, pressing through the heels as you lift. Let's bend the knees down here and lift. So you're guiding yourself from your core. So your core is lifting you up, supporting your heels, kind of connecting into the back of your glutes, your inner thighs, and lift. We're treating every muscle as if they're all working in unison. So we're working together as a full body to really connect into these moves. And lift. Two more. And lift. And then we're going to bend here and hold. I want you to just do tiny pulses down, keeping the abdominals engaged, very tiny pulses. Still reminding yourself to lift up in the core, very tiny. Dropping the shoulders down, checking in with the squeeze of the ball to make sure that you're squeezing from behind your shoulder blades. And you're going to feel your pecs and your biceps as well, but make sure that you're also feeling connect behind your shoulders. Let's do two more. And then we're going to press your legs all the way up. And then we're going to bend your knees down and we're going to shift your body forward. So your upper body goes forward as your hips pull up and back. We're going to start to stretch your arms out on a diagonal bend, the elbows wide to come in. Let's stretch it out. Bend it in. So I want you to feel as little in your quads as possible here, really tapping into your glutes, tapping into your inner thighs as well, a lot of abdominals. Stretch it out. And reach. And let's do two more here. And one more. And we're going to reach your arms out through here. We're just going to rotate over to the side. You're going to rotate, come back to center, and rotate. It's almost like you're drawing like a smile here, so like the ball kind of goes up on a diagonal and up on a diagonal. So abdominals stay in, knees stay nice and wide. Let's lift. Let's do one more on each side. And last one. And then let's lift all the way up. Take the ball in front of your body here. Bend the knees, just do a tiny pulse here. Hold this position, lifting up through the core. Now we're gonna rotate over to the side. Let's twist and back to center. And let's twist. And back to center. Tiny rotation. And twist. So starting to warm up the spine too in this rotation, so really allowing yourself to lift. Think internally twisting on the spine. Let's do one more on each side. And last one. And then let's lift all the way up through those legs. Let's slowly walk your feet in, making your way down into your knees and taking the ball between your ankles. So giving that ball a nice squeeze. We're going to take your hands underneath your shoulders. I want you to drop your feet flat. So your feet are flat. The ball is still squeezed. And before we do anything, connect into your inner thighs here. Think shoulders are back. Abdominals stay in. You're going to shift your body forward about a ½ inch. Start to bend your elbows as your chest goes down to the floor. Pushing it up here. Bending it down. Pushing it up. Bend here. So abdominals stay in. Elbows stay in tight in towards your side. You're connecting your abdominals into this movement. You're starting there. You're starting very deeply inside of your core. And let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And let's go into a cat and cow stretch. Let's round all the way up, pulling the core in here. Exhale as you pull the shoulders all the way back. And let's round up, pulling the core in. And then let's come back to center. You're going to turn your fingertips facing inwards. We're going to make a triangle shape, shifting your body forward and in. Start to bend your elbows wide out to the side. And then push it up. So as your elbows bend out wide, we're still trying to create the length between your shoulders and your ears. So if the lower you go down, your shoulders start to pull forward, make it a little bit smaller. Think more about what's happening in the core than anything. Tiny bends. And lift. Let's do 2 more. And lift. And 1 more. And lift. And let's pull your fingertips back to center. Let's go into a cat and cow stretch. Let's round all the way up. And then pull your shoulders all the way back. 1 more. Let's round all the way up. And then come back to center here. Start to tuck your toes underneath. We're going to hover your knees up and hold. So you're pulling in the core to hover the knees up here and hold. And then drop it down. So we're pulling the abdominals and hovering the knees up here. And drop it down. So very tiny lift and lower. Trying to even out your knees as you drop them down. So we're trying to think both knees drop at the same time. Both sides of the abdominals are connecting very evenly. And let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Good. And let's pull your knees into parallel here. We're going to make a fist with your hands. So you're going to make a very strong fist here. Your shoulders are going to pull back. Your toes are still tucked underneath. And now we're going to lift up in parallel. So you're going to pull your abdominals and start to hover your knees up and hold. And drop it down. So your abdominals pull in. You're really pressing strongly through the floor, out of your shoulders. Neck is relaxed as much as possible. Feel how the fist changes the movement a little bit. It lifts you up in the upper body very slightly, so your lower half is kind of at a downward angle. So really check in to make sure that you're trying to keep neutral pelvis here. 2 more. Lift. And lower. 1 more. Lift it up. And lower. And let's sit back into a child's pose. You can either untuck your toes for a second or keep your toes tucked. Stretching out through your fingertips. And we're going to press it all the way out into a straight plank We're going to keep that ball squeezed between your knees. Shoulders are back, and then rotate your toes slightly off to the right. We're going to bend the knees off to the right as you press through those arms. Stretch it out, elongate out of your spine. So now your lower half is slightly rotated over to the side. Your upper body is staying square to the floor. Shoulders are back. Staying deeply connected in the abdominals. You're going to feel the inner thighs here as well. So really listen to your legs too. You're going to feel outer thighs, you're going to feel inner thighs, you're going to feel glutes, abdominals. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And we're going to hold this position. You're going to start to bend your knees down. And then we're going to take your knees slightly off to the side. So the ball's still squeezing between my ankles. I'm going to slowly roll it back, pressing both knees down into the floor, sitting back into like a little bit of a twisted child's pose. Rolling through the spine again here. And hovering in this modified plank. So you're pulling your core in to stretch out on that whole right side of your body. Rolling through. And think plank here, abdominals, shoulders back. So even in this position, it should be challenging to hold. Keep breathing. All the way up. And 1 more. All the way back. And then forward. And then we're going to pull your knees back to center. Separate them slightly. Tuck your toes underneath and go into your straight plank. So we're going to open up your chest, keep squeezing that ball between your ankles. Let's lift up into a pike and then slowly roll through your spine. Let's end in a plank here. Shoulders are back, abdominals are in. Let's go up into a pike. Pulling the core in, stretching out here. Keep squeezing that ball. Let's do 2 more. These slow movements can be so cardio if you're really connecting the entire way. Keep your breathing going so you're supporting your body through that breath. And exhale. And 1 more. Lifting all the way up. Rolling through the spine. Let's slowly drop your knees down. Sit back into a child's pose. So you're stretching out through your hands. Take a deep breath here. We have 1 more planking series on the other side. We get all the planking done in the beginning, so we don't have to do that again. Press it all the way up. Let's rotate your toes over to that opposite side. Shoulders are back. Abdominals are in. Bend the knees off to the opposite side, pressing your body out, lengthening out of your spine. Let's bend it back. Press it out. Open up the chest. And let's do 3 more here. So still breathing through it, still keeping a really strong arm without a hyperextended elbow. So you're still lifting up out of your arms, but trying not to hyperextend there. 1 more. And then we're going to slowly bend your knees down. And now your knees are going to rotate over even more with the hips. So your hips are twisting off to the side, pulling in the core. We're going to press it back, stretch out through your spine here. Rolling through. And then holding the modified plank. Also, if you can notice, my knees are not touching. My inner thighs are still connected because the ball's between the ankles and you're still squeezing that ball. So check in with the ball. Let's do 2 more here. Open it up here. And let's do 1 more. All the way here. And then we're going to pull your knees back to center and then open your knees up wide, stretching through those arms. Start to tuck your toes underneath. Last little bit here, we're stretching out into a full plank position. Your toes are externally rotated from the hip. You're going to bend your knees wide, pushing through the arms. Stretch out, open up the chest. Let's bend it here. Stretching it out. Let's do 3 more. 2 more. And out. And 1 more. Stretching it all the way out, bending your knees down slowly. Let's sit into your child's pose. You deserve this for sure. Stretching out through your fingertips here. Rolling through the spine. Let's let your head be the last piece as we lift up here. And then grab onto your ball. We're going to flip your feet around to the front of your mat. Whew, okay, catch my breath. You're going to take the ball behind your lower back. So let's take it right into this position where it's not too high in the middle back. Remember, it's like closer to your tailbone, just giving you just enough support, but also a little place for you to hold your abdominals in your upper body. We're going to take your heels together, knees apart. Grab on underneath your knees. Open up the chest and pull in the core through here. We're going to round back into the ball. So you're going to pull your abdominals in, rounding back into the ball. And then you're going to lift up, pulling your arms in towards your body, opening it up to lift up in the chest. So we're scooping and rolling it back. Your arms are starting to straighten because your abdominals are pushing back so far. And let's lift up and hold. Scooping it back, pulling in the core here. And lift. Checking in with your heels. Make sure your heels are squeezed together to control the inner thigh connection. And one more. Pulling in the core here. Let's lift it up. Start to stretch through those arms. I want you to drop the shoulders. We're going to lower down here and then lift it up. And now we're trying to get into a neutral pelvis. So we're trying not to tuck too much. It's a little bit more of a flat back with a very slight lower half tuck. So your chest stays nice and open, but your abdominals are really zipping up. And then lift. It's also very challenging to do a full tuck when the ball is protecting that area to keep it kind of flat. So connecting into the core and lift. And let's do two more here. And lift. And one more. And then we're going to lift up and hold. We're going to start to do very tiny circles. So keeping the abdominals in, the circle is going to find its way, kind of like a basketball size shape. You can make it a little bit bigger if you feel like your abdominals are really hanging on here and you're very protected and your back is not hurting at all. Tiny circles. Let's do two more. And then back to center. Let's scoop and kind of pull in through the core. Open up the chest as you lift. Drop it down and lift. I'm dripping in sweat. And lift. Keep your breathing going. And then lift. Let's do three more. Two more here. And then one more. And let's lift up and hold. We're going to circle in the opposite direction. So tiny circles here. Allowing this moment to open up your shoulders also. We did a lot of that stability work in the planking. So you're kind of using this as a way to kind of open up through that shoulder socket. Create a little bit of stretch also as you reach out through your fingertips. You'll feel like a little bit of a nerve stretch going down your arms if you're really extending them out. Two more. Grabbing on underneath your knees. We're going to round back, pulling the core in again. Let's lift up off the ball. So you're not lifting all the way up with the ball up to standing, but you're kind of going just a few inches up so your arms can bend in. You're still connecting in the core and you're never letting that go, but you're keeping the core in. And let's do two more. And one more. And then we're going to hold here. Reaching your arms out, I want you to squeeze the knees together. So you're actually going to physically squeeze the knees together, connecting into the inner thigh. You're going to drop your palms down to the floor. I want you to bend one arm in. We're going to rotate over to the side as you pull this arm back, and then back to center. And let's twist over to the opposite side, back to center. So you're pulling both fingertips kind of apart, so you're kind of stretching it out like a bow and arrow. But the rotation comes from the belly button up. So it's a twist along the spine, and twist, and twist. And then we're going to rotate over to the side here. We're going to hold this position. We're just going to go forward and back, pulling the elbow back. So just tiny rotations. Thinking the abdominals are starting this move. Your arm is just supporting that twist to get an extra stretch. And one more. Let's go over to the other side. So rotate first, back to center. Let's rotate, back to center. Let's do 3 more. And 2 more. And 1 more. And let's come back to center. You're going to lower down an inch, lift up an inch, staying very connected into the center of your body, thinking your heels are pulling into your glutes to turn off your quads and turn off your hip flexors. The more you can kind of turn that off, the more deeply you can connect into your lower abdominals, and your lower abdominals almost take over from your quads and your hip flexors. So really try to connect into the back of your legs as you lift. 2 more. And 1 more. Woo. All the way up. Beautiful. Let's take the ball out from there. Let's take a butterfly stretch. Woo. Abdominal work. Okay. Stretch out through those arms. And then let's lift all the way up through here and take the ball underneath your left foot. So you're going to plant both feet side by side in parallel. One foot's on the ball. You're going to lift up out of the waist. We're going to slowly start to roll all the way down. So if you're doing the full roll down, let's go all the way down to the floor. If not, I'm going to show you a little bit of a prep here. So you're stretching out through here and lift it up. You can also start with just a couple preps to kind of get yourself familiarized with the movement. And then we're going to roll all the way down. You're going to stretch through this leg, extending out through the core, reaching out through your fingertips, and let's pull the chin in. You're going to slowly start to draw that leg in as you lift. So we're going to use this moment to elongate out of the spine, create more space in every vertebrae as you reach the hands all the way out. Let's pull the chin in. What's great about having the ball underneath your foot, it really forces you to pull your heel into your body. So that's the action I want you to feel. Even if there's no ball there, the heel is drawing in. And let's do 1 more. All the way down. And then let's lift it back up, pulling in the core here. We're going to scoop and roll halfway. I want you to turn your palms facing inwards. We're going to stretch out through that leg as your arms open up. Pull it back to center. So you can either just do the leg, you can also just do the arms here, or you can do them both for the extra challenge. Open it up. And let's do 3 more. And 2 more. And 1 more. And then we're going to slowly roll all the way down. Taking your hands back behind your head here. Let's curl up looking towards your abdominals. So I want you to get into a neutral pelvis first. Hands are behind your head and your head is pressed into your arms so you can open up the chest. Start to hover this opposite leg in here. We're going to stretch that leg up. I want you to drop it down to the floor. Draw the knee in and stretch it up. So we're going to do a full range of motion, keeping your tailbone in neutral. So it's not about how big this movement can be, it's about how controlled your spine can be. Your abdominals are pulling in to control this movement. And then bend it in. So you're at just a very slight lift in the upper body. It doesn't have to be very high to be very effective here. 1 more. And then we're going to reverse. You're going to lift that leg up, bend the knee in, stretch it all the way out long. Let's lift, bend, stretch it out. So you're still engaging this leg that's on the ball. So I want you to still focus on keeping this length in this hip as well. Trying not to tuck in the side of your body. And then bend. And let's do 1 more. And then you're going to bend this knee into your chest. Let's lower the head down for a second. Take a deep breath. And then your hands come back behind your head as you curl up looking towards the abdominals. And you're going to stretch this leg out. I want you to externally rotate very slightly. We're going to cross the leg, lift, and then drop it down to the floor. So you're lifting it up, squeezing the inner thighs, and then drop it down. So a tiny squeeze and up. Very tiny here. So So you might not be able to fully cross. If you can see, I'm like, get to this point and then I start feeling a little bit too tight. So I'm just gonna work within my range of motion here to cross my ankles. You'll still feel the movement, feel the connecting of the inner thigh. And let's do one more. And then bend the knee in through here. We're going to stretch your arms up to the ceiling. We're going to hold this knee into tabletop. And then we're going to slowly start to roll up. We're going to switch legs. So your left leg pulls in, your right leg extends. You're going to lift up through the core. And then slowly drop it all the way down. So you're going to lift up through here. You can also do a prep by just laying all the way down and starting to pull your knees in and out if you're not ready for the full lift. And that's absolutely okay too. You'll really feel that abdominal connection. And let's do two more. And all the way down. And let's do one more here. We're going to hold it up, start to switch legs. We're going to bend the knee in. So keeping the core engaged and stretch it out. Thinking abdominals are drawing those legs in, dropping the shoulders. Let's do two more. And one more. And you can drop your legs down. Your foot stays on the ball and you can grab on underneath that foot. Drop the head down, take a nice stretch here. Whew. A lot of vertebrae work today. So a lot of that mobility creating in your spine. So really listen to these movements, really flowing through, getting into the neck as well too. So when you roll down, making sure that your neck is kind of that last little piece. We're going to switch over to the other side. Start by stacking up through here. You can either go into your prep or you can go right into the roll down. So we're just going to pull the abdominals in, stretching out through that opposite leg, drawing the knee in. So dropping the shoulders, connecting into the core. You can also take a peek at your hips to make sure that they're even. Let's stretch it out. And then let's go all the way down. So you're stretching through here, elongating out of that leg, elongating out through your fingertips here. And let's lift back up. One thing I want you to remind yourself too is you're not gripping into the toes. You're not gripping too much into the fingertips or the jaw. So you can take a lot of pressure into those areas and remove it from your core. So every once in a while, wiggle your toes. Try not to do a very hard point. All the way up. And then lift it up. And let's do two more. Scoop and roll down. Stretching out through the fingertips, elongating out through the core. And one more. All the way down. Stretching it out. And then lifting it up through here. So now we're going to scoop and roll halfway. Your palms are turned in towards each other. You're going to stretch that leg out. Open up your arms. Drawing the knee in. And now telling yourself your glutes are pulling in that ball. Abdominals are staying controlled. Your arms are actively pushing into each other, so you're creating your own resistance. Staying very connected in the core. Let's do two more. And one more. And then you're going to stretch it all the way out as you slowly roll the spine all the way down. And then we're going to take your hands behind your head. Curl up looking toward your abdominals. So before we start, make sure that you're in neutral. You can do a few tuck and arches to kind of get yourself there. It's that halfway point between a tuck and an arch. Start to take this opposite leg into tabletop. Elongate out of both hips first. Stretch that leg up. You're going to drop it down to the floor. Bend the knee and extend it up. So full range of motion here. I want you to feel connected into your leg too, and I want you to treat this as a leg exercise as well. It's a lot of abdominals. It's a lot of supporting work from your glutes, from your core. But I want you to also remind yourself that you're really stretching out through the leg, connecting into every little muscle there, and up. Let's do one more. And then reverse. And lift it up. And if your hip starts clicking, I know that's kind of a common thing. is try to keep the movement a little bit smaller. Try not to work through that clicking and try to make it bigger and bigger. Take the move a little bit smaller. Connect a little bit more into the core and keep it a little bit more controlled. And one more. And then we're going to externally rotate here. We're going to tap it over and then drop it down. So now you're tapping at the ankles. You're zipping it up. Drop it down. Do a tiny squeeze. So we're trying not to move that opposite leg in towards this leg. Your left leg is going to cross and then drop it down. Now both legs are parallel. You're going to zip it up and cross. Drop it down. Let's do two more. And drop. And one more. And drop. And bend this knee into your chest. You can lower all the way down. You can also stretch through your back as you pull your knee in here. It's a lot of back stability as well through the thoracic. We're going to take this knee up to tabletop. You can take your hands slightly above your head. We're going to pull the chin in. We're going to switch legs. I'm going to just move my ball just very slightly. Slowly roll all the way down, stretching through your hands. And let's lift up again. So we're trying to articulate through every vertebrae as you lift. Slowly roll all the way down. You also can use your hands underneath your knees if you find that you need just like some extra support up at the top, that's okay. And then one more. We're going to lift up through here and hold. Just start to switch your legs. Very tiny. So keeping the core engaged here. Try to even out on both sides of the hips, dropping the shoulders. Let's do two more. And one more. And then drop it down. Taking a stretch here, you can drop your head. And then let's lift up. Okay. We're going to go into some side work on your arms and then we'll go into some glutes. I want you to squeeze the ball between your knees. We're going to start on your arm, and you're also welcome to take this onto your forearm if your arms are fatigued by this time of class. Pulling up through the core. I want you to grab on wherever you can grab on here and just feel this nice lift up out of the core. Take a deep breath from here. I want you just to hold this position and start to do very tiny pulses in on the ball. So your top leg is squeezing towards your bottom leg. Your heels are connected. Tiny squeezes. Trying to really find this lift up off your shoulder. You can also change your mind and go down to your forearm at any time as well, so you can start here and change your mind too. And let's do one more. And then start to extend this arm up. We're going to lift your hips up, taking this hand up and over your head. So we're stretching through here. And then just holding this side plank here. So you're pulling your abdominals in, starting to draw that arm up and over. And then holding a side plank. Let's pull the core in, lifting up through here. And down, two more. Lifting it up. And down, one more. And then holding this position. I want you to just bend this arm, bottom arm bends, presses it up. Very tiny. And if you're down into your forearm, you can just hold this position, play around with this arm going up and over your head as well. Keeping the abdominals in here. Your elbow kind of comes in towards your body. It's a very slight movement. Two more. And one more. We're going to rotate down to the floor. Let's take a child's pose for a second, stretching out through those fingertips. And then we're going to slowly roll through the spine. Let's lift all the way up and let your head be the last piece here. And let's go over to the other side. So knees are squeezed together, your hand is underneath your shoulder. Find your lift first. If you can get from that point where your knees, hips, shoulders, arm, all in one straight line, you can grab on here, pulling up in the core. Tiny squeezes in on the ball so your top leg pulls into that bottom leg. Keep pulling in the abdominals. Keep breathing here, staying very strong up off the shoulder. Tiny here. And then let's do one more. And then squeeze and hold, start to extend this top arm up over your head. We're gonna lift up into a rainbow shape. So you're pulling in through the core, hovering into this modified plank. So the reason why we're not dipping all the way down here is I want you to really feel how the movement starts from the core. The core is everything here. It's not gonna be your arms moving. Your core lifts and naturally this arm wants to come up over your head to support this length in your core and support this, lift up and pull and stretch. 2 more. Lift it up, pulling in the core. And 1 more. Let's lift it up. Hovering out into this position, staying lifted, we're going to start to bend this elbow, pushing it up. Try not to get to that point where it wants to hyperextend. So this arm of mine always wants to hyperextend, so I'm going to catch it right before that point. Makes it more challenging to not lock into the joint. Makes it a lot better for your joints in the long run. And bend. And lift. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Woo. And let's go down to the floor. Sit back into your child's pose. Stretch out through your arms here. Okay. Let's take the ball behind your left knee. Give it a nice squeeze here. Sweating, my hair is attached to my neck. Okay. That's a good thing. Hands are going to be into a triangle shape here. Knees are going to be underneath your hips. I want you to drop your right foot flat and your left foot's going to be lifted. So we're going to start with a full dead leg. Pulling the not dead leg, dead foot. Your leg is connected. Lift your leg up through here. We're going to start to do very tiny pulses up to the ceiling. So abdominals are in, shoulders are back, just very tiny pulses. Not doing much with the foot, but still squeezing the ball, trying to connect in that smile area underneath your glute, your hamstring. It's going to be a lot of abdominal here. And let's do a couple more here. And then lift up and hold. We're going to go into a circle, so you're going to open your knee out to the side, drop it down to the floor. Let's lift it up. So we're going to do a full circle here. And lift. So you're opening up the hip, dropping it down to the floor. Also checking in with the center of your body, trying not to allow your body to shift as that leg opens up. And lift, and let's do 1 more. And then let's reverse. So you're going to drop it down, open the knee out to the side, staying controlled in the abdominals. And let's open it up. Let's do 2 more here. And 1 more. Dropping that knee down, let's walk yourself up onto your hands. Shoulders are back. We're going to extend your right leg all the way out. We're going to lift up in the core. So we're going to start to hover this left leg up. And we're just going to take this leg backwards and then pull the knee into your chest, but keeping your body nice and straight. So the movement doesn't have to be big. It's a lot of core. You're still going to feel glutes and hamstrings on that leg with the ball. Trying to elongate out through that right leg. And 1 more. And then you're going to drop the knee down, drop your opposite knee down, and then this foot is going to tuck underneath to give you some support. We're going to go down into your forearms. So you're still squeezing the ball as you start to extend that opposite leg out. So I'm going to hover this leg up, pulling the core through here. I'm going to start to do very tiny circles of this leg. So your shoulders are back, your abdominals stay in, and you're trying to connect into that smile area underneath your glute. Pulling in the core, very tiny circles. And then let's reverse the opposite way. Try to create some length out of your hip, length out of your leg. Try not to stop the end of this movement in your toes, so think energy continues out through your leg. Keep the abdominals in. Check in with the center of your body as well. And let's do 1 more. And you're going to hold that leg up. I want you to externally rotate in that hip. So now your right hip's slightly open. We're just going to tap it down and lift. So now my hips are not square to the floor. They're rotated over to the leg that is up. Drop it down and lift. And let's do 3 more here. 2 more. And 1 more. And then dropping that knee down. Let's take the ball out from behind your knee and then now underneath your knee for a pigeon stretch. So let's take your front leg forward. Let's roll it out. You can drop your head down. Find whatever pigeon stretch you can get to. Also, if the ball is too much, you can ditch the ball altogether and just go down here. But take a few deep breaths here. Trying to also elongate out of your hip flexor, using this moment to stretch out of your hip flexor. Okay. And let's walk yourself up gently. We're going to go over to the other side. We're going to take the ball behind your opposite knee. Give it a nice squeeze. And then we're going to make our way down onto our forearms again. So shoulders are back. Abdominals stay in, brushing off the sweat. Okay, let's lift up here. Pulling in through the core, relaxing this foot. We're going to start to do very tiny pulses up. Tiny pulses here. So we're keeping the core engaged. Also checking in to make sure that your body's not slowly shifting back towards your knees. The more you can shift your body forward, the more abdominal it is. So you want to line your nose up with your thumbs. I like to use that as a guide and create some space between your shoulders and your ears. Tiny pulses. And now we're going to go into a circle. So you're going to open the knee out to the side, drop it down. Let's lift it up. Open out to the side. And lift. A nice circle here, connecting into the glutes. You'll feel this supporting leg also doing a lot of work. We just tapped into that leg on the other side, so you might feel that too. 1 more. And then let's reverse. We're going to do the circle in the opposite direction. Abdominals stay in. Whew. I'm shaking. Keep reminding yourself to lift up off your shoulders too. Try not to sink your weight down, really staying lifted. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Whew, okay. Dropping that knee down. I know I keep going whoo a lot, but it's very intense. Shoulders are back, extending out through this left leg, pulling in the core. We're going to start to hover up first, so find your hovered plank first. Start to take this leg up and then pull it in towards your chest. So full range of motion here, keeping your spine nice and long. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And then dropping this knee down, dropping the opposite knee now. And now your back foot with the ball is going to be tucked underneath to add some support. So you're squeezing the ball, going down into your forearms. We're going to stretch out through this opposite leg. Hover that leg up, and before you start, I want you to find that extra length in your core, that extra lift up, and we're going to start to do very tiny circles. Tiny circles here, trying to keep your hips square to the floor first. Very tiny. Feel the circle coming from the hip joint also, not just your toe, not just your knee. Let's do 2 more. And then reverse. Tiny circles. And then try to keep your focus also at your fingertips so you don't strain the neck here, or don't go this way. Try to keep your neck in line. And let's do 2 more. And 1 more. We're going to hold here. We're going to open up that hip without rotating your shoulders, so your lower half, and you're just going to tap and lift. A lot less range of motion on this side as I lift. So really listen to your body, stay controlled. Try not to extend past your limit where you can keep your spine in neutral. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. And then drop that knee down, grabbing out the ball. Whew, hello, full body. Okay. Ball goes underneath the knee. Let's take this opposite leg forward. Let's go into your pigeon stretch. Dropping the head down, stretching out through that leg. And then let's lift up here. We're going to take the ball behind your shoulder blades. So we're going to lay down over the ball. Think of like taking it right here, so it's not going to be too low in your middle back and not too high up on your neck. It's right about here. You'll feel it when you get into that position and you lay over the ball and it releases your shoulders open. You find kind of that perfect position. Let's hold this position for a second. Take a couple deep breaths. You can also take your feet pretty wide here. Let's do one more. And we're going to take your hands behind your head. I want you to curl up looking towards your abdominals. So we're going to pull in the core. We're trying to keep a neutral pelvis here. Just want you to open up the chest. Do a tiny little lift, pulling in the core. Open up the chest here. And lift. We did a lot of work trying to tap into your glutes and your hamstrings in some of these positions when your feet are down onto the floor and your knees are bent. So try to get the heels pulling into your glutes here. Let's do one more. We're going to start to reach your hands over towards your knees, stretching out through the fingertips. Open your arms out to the side and then start to squeeze your hands in. And then we're going to do a slight lift. So we're opening it out. And lift. Keeping your chin into your chest too, so you're trying not to strain in the neck. We're trying to massage your shoulder blades around the ball if you can feel that too. Open. And lift. One more. And lift. And then hands come back behind your head. Let's open up your chest here. And then slowly start to walk your feet together. Your knees are going to be slightly apart. I want you to curl up looking towards your core. You're just going to start to squeeze the knees together. Open the knees wide. Tiny squeeze here. So you're actively feeling the inner thighs. Squeeze the knees together. Your head is pressing into your arms. You're keeping a nice long chest. You're keeping your neck long. You're trying not to strain at all here. And let's do 3 more. And 2 more. And then squeezing the knees and hold. I want you to open up the chest. Do a tiny lift up. Straight through the center. And lift. And let's do 3. And 2. And then last one, I want you to curl up, lift through here. We're going to rotate over to the side, pull your abdominals back to center. Let's rotate over to the opposite side. You're trying to keep your lower half very stable here. It can be the tiniest movement. We're going to go over to the right. We're going to do a tiny pulse up. Think abdominals are pulsing you up, not your neck. It doesn't have to be a very big lift. Zipping up through your inner thighs. Think your inner thighs are connected to your pelvic floor. Your low abdominals come back to center. Let's go over to the opposite side. Do tiny pulses up. Keep the core engaged. And let's do 3 more. 2 more. And 1 more. Rotate back to center. Let's stretch your legs all the way out. Let's open up your chest over the ball. Relaxing your shoulders for a second. Let's take a couple of deep breaths. And exhale. 1 more. And exhale. And now we're going to grab your hands underneath your neck so that you can lift up through here, and we're going to slowly roll all the way down. Taking your ball underneath your tailbone, so let's lift up here. And then you can either drop your arms down by your side, or you can grab onto the ball in the beginning while you stabilize this movement. Squeezing the knees together. I want you to ground yourself so that your tailbone is really pressing onto the ball. So you're keeping a neutral pelvis. We're going to start to stretch one leg out. Bend the knee in. So we're going to stretch out in the opposite leg. Keeping the core engaged and lengthening out through here. We're going to add an arm. So your right leg is going to reach out as your left arm extends. And we're going to continue that same arm and leg. So you're stretching it out, bending the knee in. Keep your breathing going here, stretching it out, giving yourself a chance to relax your neck and also put some pressure into your shoulders. You can open up the chest a little bit more. Let's grab onto the opposite side. Let's stretch it out, bend it in. So trying to find that stabilizing abdominal strength here. Stretch it out. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Grab onto the ball, take your legs up here, give them a little wiggle. And then we're going to bend one knee, stretching out through that leg. Let's lift it up and let's go to the other side, stretching it out. So keep the abdominals connected and out. You can kind of flow through this movement. And then taking your right leg all the way down, take your left knee into your chest. Stretch out through that hip flexor. Let's go over to the other side. Bending it in here, stretching out through your hip flexor. And then taking both knees into the chest, you're going to pull your knees in here and to grab on. Your ball is still underneath your tailbone. You can kind of wiggle side to side just a little bit. You feel how it stretches out in your lower spine there, kind of all the way to your tailbone and your sacrum. And then dropping the feet down. Let's lift your hips up and then slowly roll it down. We're going to flip over and take the ball right into your pelvic floor. So let's take it right here. Let's bend your knees wide, drape your whole body up and over. Let's relax all the way over the ball. You can let your legs hang very heavy. You can place all your weight on the ball too, so you're really pressing down, dropping the head down. Take a couple deep breaths here. And then we're going to prop yourself up onto your forearms. I want you to tuck your toes underneath. You're going to start to shift forward and back. So you're going to allow the ball to go all the way up onto your stomach. It's going to go down to your pelvic floor. You're going to line up with your abdominal wall here. So we're just going to massage through some of your gut, some of your stomach, anything that you're hanging onto in your stomach or in your gut, in those muscles that we just tapped into, really stretching those out. Also, it's very nauseating, so if it's too much, you can ditch the ball and just lay flat onto your stomach. Or you can put more pressure onto your forearms. The less pressure you put onto the ball, the more it eases up on some of that nausea. It doesn't press so hard down. Let's do 1 more. And then drop your knees down. Let's take your hands by your side. Let's lift up here. We're going to take the ball right into your pelvis again as your knees open up. We're going to go into a little bit of a child's pose. So just keep the ball there. Start to stretch out through those hands, elongate out. You can just nicely go right underneath your ribs. And then we're going to slowly start to draw your arms in. You can grab onto the ball and just place it in front of you. Let your head be the very last piece here. And roll your shoulders back. And you did it, 60 minutes, great job. Thank you for joining. I hope everybody feels good and feels open. I'm running out of time. Again, I always do this. But thank you for joining. Also, I'm gonna keep posting just any little information that I have that I can share with anybody. Please share it with your friends that are not on social media. It's super important to get all of this word about Black Lives Matter all over the place, so make sure that you keep pushing all of that information. I will be here for you to move, to help you work through any of these body, things that might be happening as we're anxious and tight and need to open up and clear our minds. So I will be here Saturday, 10 a.m. I love you all so much. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll see you Saturday.